Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Aspen Discovery 101. My name is Jessie Zarrow, and I am here with my colleague Bill Kessler, and we are taking things back to basics this season. So welcome everyone as we talk about Aspen Discovery, and we cover everything you need to know about Aspen in this webinar. We will be monitoring chat, so if you have a question, Bill will be able to answer those questions and share links of the libraries that we are showing along our journey of Aspen Discovery 101. So to kick things off, we're going to first talk about the goals of Aspen Discovery. So for those of you who may be new to the community, or if you are existing users, Aspen's number one goal is to create an experience for all users to connect all material that your library has. The best way I like to think about it is we have an amazing catalog that tells you everything that our library has, but we also do a ton of great things in the library, like host amazing events, have history or genealogy or digitized content that our users can explore. And Aspen maximizes the engagement by bringing all of those resources together. We also make it a key component to connect our users and let them have a personalized experience. So through some of the examples we'll show you today, Aspen can work for both consortiums, multi-branch systems, and single branch libraries. And finally, the last goal is to empower library administrators to customize Aspen and make sure that all of those resources that your library has access to those. So with that, we are going to kick things off and start our journey into Aspen 101. Our first example today we're going to start with is GMELCs, and we wanted to start with a consortium to talk just a little bit about how Aspen can be customized to expand for larger systems, library networks, or communities that have multiple locations sharing a system. In New Hampshire, you can see this library consortium right here as we start our journey. The things I always like to start with are the browse categories. That's usually the first interaction that our patrons see when they come to the Discovery interface. The best way I think about this is the experience we have as consumers. You know, whether you're shopping online or you're at the grocery store and maybe you're ordering things online, you always have that experience of browsing, you know, whether it's streaming content, shopping, or whatever you're doing. Aspen starts you with that same journey. It allows you to come in here and browse through curated collections that your staff or librarians have created. So as we start our journey here, you'll see we have different options to look through, both fiction and nonfiction, and of course, professional collections. And this is a great way for users to be able to come in and see what's available. So let's take a look at one of the examples here, which is Iron Flame. This pops up a modal window, which will give us a little more information about the title. And then we get to see multiple formats. So one of the nice things about Aspen is that rather than seeing individual entries for each format that you have, book, large print, playaway, audiobook, eContent, whatever it may be, it brings all of that information together. That way, your user has the opportunity to decide which way they want to listen, watch, or read the content that they are looking into. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about how this information comes in. With Aspen, there's a couple different ways that you can create these browse categories. The first is through a basic search. When we're creating these browse categories, we want our users to know what's available. Maybe it's broken down by category or a different type of status, maybe something that's ordered or what's coming. This allows your staff to be able to come in and highlight that information. Take, for example, the New York Times bestseller. We can use APIs to automatically update this information. It will look for titles in your collection and show what's available. This is a great way for your users to be able to come in and say, hey, I'd love to read that share memoir. And they can see exactly what's available, what's checked out, and then of course go through that process of placing a hold. The second way to create those browse categories is through lists. I like to always think about this for things like summer reading, or maybe lists that you have for schools that you want to push that information out. One that Bill and I always really get excited about too is read-alikes. So we know when those New York Times bestsellers come out and there's like 80 plus people on the list, we want to give recommendations for other titles that are available that people can read or listen to as they wait for that title on hold. These are all great ways that you can share lists and make those browsable categories too. Our next example we're going to show you is one of the libraries within GMILCs, within the consortium, and this is the Merrimack Public Library. Here we'll talk a little bit about customizations. So one of the nice things about Aspen is the ability for your libraries within a consortium to be able to customize or enable them to show their branding, their look, their feel. So when their patrons come to the site, they can have that experience. They can also highlight and show off different browse categories. And the reason why this is so fantastic is because we are all unique. All libraries have something different to share. You know, I think about my home library. I have a small branch in a 12-branch system, and we have this beautiful little gardening section where you can pick out different types of seeds, and they have an arrow garden growing. You know, so each one of us have something great that we can show. And in the example here with Merrimack, you can see their browse categories are just a little bit different than what we saw in the consortium. We see that library of things where users can come in and they can see all of those options that are available within the collection. There's also one for eContent. So if we want to come in and look at those creative bug videos to get ideas about, you know, sewing or crocheting or crafting, you can do that. If you're just looking for an e-audiobook because, you know, you have a longer commute to work and you need something to listen to, you can come in here and browse. And so you can see just the difference from going from that consortium over to the individual library where they get that experience. Now, as we're talking about all of this great e-content, you can see across the top there where, you know, we highlighted Creative Bug, there's Cloud Library, there's Libby, there's Hoopla, Canopy, Cloud Library, and even Palace Project. Those are all e-content providers that we can bring in content so your users can explore. Now, in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking, Jesse, well, what about all those other ones out there like Learning Express or Comics Plus? You know, how do we bring those in? Well, you can use sideloading to have all of your e-content discoverable within the system. Okay, now we're going to come in and we are going to do a search within the catalog so we can talk about what some of those customizations look for libraries within a consortium. First, I'm going to start by typing in crochet. You'll notice that I get some predictive text. This is going to give us similar titles, subjects, or series that are matching that. What's great about this is if you forget how to spell someone's last name or you can't exactly remember the title that somebody told you about, this at least gives you some helpful suggestions. The next thing your users will see is a drop-down. This allows them to search by either a keyword, title, series, author, or subject. And then finally, the last drop-down will show them how they want to search. For now, we're going to search in the library catalog and show you how your users can explore. But they do have the possibility to narrow down those searches into one of the following, either events or lists, your website, and beyond. Once I perform that search, that will bring back results. You'll notice here that on the left-hand side, I have my facets. That allows the user to drill down, narrow what they're looking for. In the center of the screen, you're going to see formats. This is great for users who know, right away, I want something on my, Kindle, or I want something that I can listen to, or I want something I can stream. This allows them to narrow down their search right away. Right underneath, you're going to see some options. Now, again, for consortiums or large systems, this is a nice way that you can have it set to either look at the entire consortium as a whole or allow your users to look at just what's available within the library itself. Now you'll see two options to the right. One that limits to show things that are available right now. That means I don't have to wait. I can check it right out. It's available on the shelf. And then, of course, that last one, which is available now online. You can't sleep at night. You wake up at 2:30 in the morning and you're like, I need a good book. You can go right online, find what's available, and check it out. Now, let's take a look at these search results. As they come back, you'll notice I have a few options. Crochet World, Crochet, both magazines available through Libby. And as I scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that I get an Explore More section. This is a great way for users to see all of the things that are available within your library. That takes us back to our number one goal with Aspen. Have a unified experience so you can see all resources that are available. So I can see that today, the 9th, there is a knit, stitch, and crochet class available at the library. If I click on that link, it takes me out where I can see a little more information about this particular event that's happening at the library. Now, there are 4 different event providers that can integrate directly with Aspen Discovery. Merrimack is using SpringShare's LibCal. Aspen can also integrate with Communico's Attend, Assabet Interactive, and Library Market's Library Calendar. So this is a nice way for users to be able to see the event that's coming. And once they're logged in, they can even add those events to their My Account information within the system. Now, if this event did require registration, they would also see a link that could take them out to register. So just a great way to bring all things together. If I go back to my search results, you'll also see and Explore More. I have a list here, and if I click on that, that will take me in where I can see a list of titles that were put together. And in here, I have a title that contains crochet. So this is a nice way, again, no matter what they're searching for, they can see all of those results and see all of the things that are available, not just what's in that traditional collection, but also other features, lists, events, images, whatever may be available within the system. All right, so we have one more example that we are going to show off here for our consortia views. And this is a memorial library in Milford, New Hampshire. They are, again, part of the consortium, and we want to talk just a little bit about kind of their look and feel. So you'll notice it's just a little bit different. It looks a little bit different than the first one we saw. And I just love that because each library can bring out their own customization, their own branding, their look and feel. Now, Bill, I'm going to call on you for this one because we love to talk about this stuff. What about libraries that might not have the staff, to customize or bring in their look and feel? How can they make that a part of their Aspen experience and work with the consortium to make it easy?
So for those libraries that don't have the staff, of course, Bywater Solutions can help with any of that customization. Also, the community is very helpful. A lot of folks in the community, they're sharing code, stuff like that. But you can always come to Bywater for that. And then one thing to note, Wadley, note the very top, there's not a system message, but on the previous one, there was a system message. So those can be done differently throughout.
Absolutely. So just a great way to be able to have that information come out. And another thing with consortiums, you can also create a template. So for the libraries that don't want to do the customizations, they can use a simple template to enter their information and show it off. Now, another great thing about being in a consortium and perhaps having different types of resources that are available is the ability to scope for things like eContent. So where your library may have one thing, but maybe some of the other libraries in the consortium don't, it gives you the opportunity to bring that information in so it's discoverable on your site. So it's a nice way to bring that in. So in this example, we're going to do a search for hiking. And again, you'll notice that predictive text that I get gives me a drop down where I can see some quick information. And again, this time we're just going to search in the library catalog. And when I get those results that come back, as I scroll down a little bit, you'll notice I get, examples for books. And I want to draw your attention here. It shows me exactly where it's at. So I can see it's at the library. There's one copy on the shelf available. But if we come down below, you'll notice that this one alerts me that it's available at another library. So again, the power of being part of a consortium, I can click where is it, and it will show me that other location that it's at. So there's nice customization so your patrons know, is this available at my home library, or can I make a request to get it somewhere else? And because we love the Explore More section, I just want to point out, I thought this one was awesome because they have a local adventures list here, and it just shows you all of the things that pertain to hiking and things in their area. One of my bucket lists is to hike the entire Appalachian Trail one day. And so I got really excited when I found this example because they had a great list of the Appalachian Mountains and the White Mountain Guide, and just great things available here. So just a really neat way for you to be able to see, where copies of things are, even if it might not be at your local library. Okay, now that we talked about consortiums and options of how that displays, our next example we're going to go to is a county-wide system that has multiple branches. This is Pasco County Library Cooperative in Florida, and you'll see at the top one of the system messages. This is a great way that Aspen allows you to alert your users, whether it's a holiday that's coming up, or maybe there was a power outage or something that happened at the library. This gives you a great way to kind of alert your users within the system and be able to message them and let them know that things are happening. If I do just a little refresh here, you'll also notice you can do things that are specific towards branches. So in this case, you can see that the Hudson branch is closed to still assist with hurricane recovery efforts. So just a nice way that you can send those messages out. Now, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about within Pasco's layout. So as we look at this main page, again, you'll see those great browse categories on the front page. I can sit and look at all these different libraries and just see kind of the cool stuff that they've created or curated within the system. But one that I want to point out is Library of Things. Library of Things has really grown as a library community all over the country. We're not just traditional books or DVDs anymore. Every library has something special. And this is a great way for you to be able to highlight that information. And so one of the things I wanted to do in our search here is search for specifically Library of Things. Maybe I was looking for something specific. One of the things that Aspen does really well is it allows you to create placards. You can think of placards as a way to essentially advertise or show off things that are available at your library that maybe don't have, MARC records or something in the system. They're a great way for you to be able to trigger a message or an advertisement to your users when they're searching. So in this case, I got a placard for Library of Things. And you'll notice it gives us a little image, and it also provides a link to the collection of their non-traditional materials that patrons can check out. So when I click on that link, it takes me out to their website where I can see a complete breakdown of some of their adaptive toys and electronics and their guidelines, and more information about what they have within the system. So this is, again, just a really nice way that you can highlight things. Now, we have seen so many different things here, whether it's a seed library or maybe a database that you want to highlight, or maybe it's an event that you have going on at your library. Trigger words can essentially pop these placards up so your users see what's going on within the system. And I'm just going to call on Bill again and say, like, Bill, some of our favorite placards are like read-alikes, and what are some other ones we've seen?
My local library had a Smithsonian Museum exhibit that was traveling exhibit. So they put it on every page and it is dismissible if you want. So folks were getting that message anytime they searched anything in there. I really like the read-alikes though, especially if you're looking for a book that is very popular. It does give the opportunity for the library to showcase the other items in the collection that are similar.
Absolutely. And one of the other nice things about the placards is they can be set to expire after a certain period of time. So if it's an event or maybe something seasonal that you're talking about, you can have them expire after a certain date so they just don't show up. So for author visits or, whatever it may be, it's a great way to have those within the system. Now I want to talk a little bit about integration with third-party products that you might use for reading advisory. We're going to come in and we're going to take a look at The Mirror from Nora Roberts. And when I click on that title, this brings me in where I can see a little more information about this particular title in the system. So you'll notice here I have an author link, which if I click on will take me into the system where I can see just a little more information about Nora Roberts. It shows me titles where she is the author, and there's also a great feature that you can turn on, which is powered by Wikipedia, which brings in just a short blurb about that author. If we go back, it will also give us series information. So if this title is part of a series, I can select that information and it will show me other titles that are in that particular series within the collection. Now, as I scroll through, you'll notice a couple things right on this first screen. Over on the left, we're going to see stars. Now, what's really advantageous for your patrons is that they can do ratings on titles that they have read. So if I really like this book, I could give it 5 stars. If I didn't care for it, I could give it 1. What Aspen will start to do is learn what you like, what you don't like, and it will start giving you suggestions built on an internal algorithm. And when we get over to my account, you'll see how Aspen empowers the user and provides browse categories customized just for them to show them kind of what they like. So it really ties together that whole piece of connecting every user with like a personalized experience. Now, as I scroll down a little bit, you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, users can place a hold if something is checked out. They also can see how many people are on the wait list. And then if I scroll down a little bit further, you'll be able to see descriptions. Now, to talk about those third-party connections, you'll see here with Pasco County, they have Syndetics Unbound turned on. This is a paid subscription outside of Aspen that allows your users to see read-alikes, maybe other titles they may like, other authors that are similar. If they hover over, they can see a little more information. And as we go down a little bit further, they'll also be able to see a summary and information about authors. Other products that you can integrate would be things like Content Cafe or Novelist Select to bring in similar information. Underneath our information here from Syndetics, you'll also see other titles, which Aspen calls more like this. Aspen can generate other titles that are similar subjects, authors, and that is, again, an internal algorithm that Aspen is showing the user. They can also see other subjects that pertain to this particular one, which is nice if users want to come in and say, I want to read other titles about time travel. They can click on that subject and it will take them directly in to see those other titles available. Finally, underneath, there's the option to turn on staff view. So some libraries like to be able to come in and see information about the record itself, the grouping, the cover image, where it's coming from. And these are all features that you can customize and turn on and off within the system when you are implementing Aspen Discovery.
So Jesse, there's one question I haven't been able to answer.
Oh, sure.
Talking about the wait list, is the wait list adjustable? Can they only show people who are on the wait list from the library versus people on the wait list from other consortium libraries?
Ooh, now I don't know the answer exactly to that right off the top of my head. but we can check and follow up with you. But another piece that people always ask about this is, can we turn that off? So they don't see the number of people that are waiting there. You can do that. So that's customizable from this view, but we can find out and see what the difference is between your library and the libraries of the consortium. Absolutely. Great question. All right. Our next example here is going to be a single branch library. This is Salina Public Library from Kansas City. And we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other integrations that you can bring into Aspen Discovery. The first is the ability to tie in articles and databases. So with Aspen, you can tie in things like EBSCO host, EBSCO EDS, and/or ProQuest summons. In this case, Salina Public Library has EBSCO host turned on, and we just wanted to show you what some of the features you can use when you are searching within the system. So I'm going to just do a search for cancer alternative treatments and search in the system. And when those come back, you'll notice that those results are going to show us information where over on the left, we can see other resources that are available. You'll notice the facets are a little bit different, where we can select maybe the source or the particular subject that we're looking for. And then in the center of the screen, we can see those titles and where the information was found. Now, as I scroll down, you'll notice under the second result, I can also see explore more. And so what this will do is this will show us that information that might be available in the catalog, other titles, or other results. So that explore more is always bringing your users in to show them information that is available to the user within the system and be able to see exactly what's available. So if I click on that, the breakthrough, it takes me in where I can see that. If I jump back, I'll be taken right into those results with EBSCO where I can click on that. And then that prompts me to log in with my library card and PIN so I can authenticate through EBSCO host. Okay. Our next example that we are going to show is from Cuyahoga County Public Library, and we want to talk about all of the options that are available with interlibrary loan. So a lot of our libraries are part of, maybe a statewide system or maybe another platform where they can make ILL requests. Aspen allows a few different services to integrate, or you can link out to an ILL URL where your users can search. In this case, Cuyahoga County Public Library is in Ohio, and they are part of Search Ohio, Ohio Link. That is powered through InReach. So if you are a state that has InReach as one of your ILL options, this is an option to integrate right within your system. What this allows users to do is perform a search within the system to find what they are looking for. So, we are right in the thick of it, and I'm going to search for a winter storm. When those results come back, you'll notice I can see, some titles right at the top. I do want to pause and point out here, this is a great example here where you do see multi-branches, and it shows us what's available online, and then if items are checked out. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom to show you our examples for interlibrary loan. So as I get down to the bottom, you'll notice here that we can see results from Search Ohio. This is showing us integration with InReach that allows us to see that information. We also have integration with AutoGraphics ShareIt. So if your state is a state that uses AutoGraphics ShareIt to perform ILLs, you can also integrate that way. This will allow your users to click on the link and see those results within the system. Now, let's say the user searched and did not find what they were looking for. Aspen has a feature that allows you to set up purchase suggestions or material requests. There is a material request module within Aspen for those of you that have an ILS that may not connect to a purchase suggestion. But for those of you that do, in this case, Cuyahoga County uses Koha, and that connects directly to their ILS and sends that information in. So these are great ways that you can tie in features like ILL or material requests within the system. The last thing I want to point out on Cuyahoga is the ability to embed widgets. So many of you have features like chats or texts, which allows your user to come in and perhaps chat with a librarian. There's so many, features out there, whether you use SpringShare's LibChat or Library Help or OLARC, whatever it may be. This allows you to embed a little widget and chat back and forth with other librarians and ask a question. So those can be easily embed or set up within the system. Okay, now we are going to talk about the patron experience when they log into the system. And Bill and I both get really excited at this point because both of our home libraries are Aspen Discovery users. So Bill mentioned earlier that his library, which is Huntsville, has a Smithsonian. This is my home library, Alachua County Library District. And I'm going to walk you through the experience of logging in and going through the system as a patron now. So there's a couple ways that your patrons can begin their journey if they want to check something out within the system. So as I'm scrolling here, whether I found something, through the browse categories, or maybe I was performing a search, when I come in here, I'll be able to essentially view that information. So let's say I wanted to place a hold for this particular title. What it's going to do is it is going to prompt me to enter in my card number or my username within the system and then my PIN or password. This information can be customized dependent upon how your users log in. You'll also see two links here. One is for the user if they forgot their PIN or password, and then the second is for if you allow users to self-register or register for a new library card within the system. Once they log in, it will take them to the place where they can place that hold. So in this case, it's showing me place a hold for that particular title. I can set my home branch, or I can select a different branch within the system. It gives me an option to always select that pickup location or log me out after requesting. Once I submit that holds request, it will tell me where I'm at. So I am number 1 in the queue. And then down below, you'll also see something called While You Wait. This is a great feature that will show you other titles that are similar to the one that you may be checking out that are available right away. So if I click on this particular title, it will show me that book, it's on the shelf, and it's giving me a suggestion. So again, prompting your user to check other things out within the system. Now, let's talk about checking out eContent. So earlier in our webinar, we mentioned the ability to integrate eContent via APIs. So again, that's going to be Libby Overdrive, Hoopla, Cloud Library, Boundless, formerly Access 360, and Palace Project. So as I scroll through here, you'll notice I get a little placard for Creative Bug. And as I keep going through, you'll notice my Explore More gives me suggestions for upcoming events. And as I scroll down a little bit further, I now have options to check out via eContent. So here you can see I have 2 titles, both through Hoopla. If the library has this enabled, I can come in here and you'll notice here it gives me a message. It tells me that I have 10 Hoopla checkouts remaining for this month. Do I want to proceed? I can select checkout and then it will tell me that I have successfully checked that item out and I can now borrow 9 more titles this month. It will give me a link where I can jump right into my account and see that information. Now, what's really nice about this is if I want to view it, whether I'm on in, my desktop or laptop, or even my mobile device, I can go right in and view that information. Aspen is mobile responsive. It also comes with a companion app, Aspen Lita, which can be downloaded from Apple's iOS or Google Play. Or, of course, I can open my Hoopla app and it will be available there. Now, as I come to my checkout titles, you'll notice here that it shows me not only my physical materials that are checked out, but also anything that I have checked out on Libby and anything that I have checked out on Hoopla. So you can see right here, it shows me that information. I can access it online, I can return it, and I also get a you might also like. This is showing me other titles that I may enjoy or want to check out based on my checkouts in the system. Now for my physical materials, you'll see messages that'll tell us when the items are due back. So I can see this one's due back today. And then some of my others are due back in 5. Now you will notice here, dependent on your circulation rules that we're pulling in through your ILS. In this case, my titles have renewed twice already, so I don't have the ability to renew again. But I do have the ability to see you might also like within the system. That the same process goes for holds. So if we come over here to our holds requests, this will show us some information about holds within the system. If I have anything ready for pickup, that will show me up top. And then as I scroll down below, I'll be able to see any pending holds. Now, pending holds will provide the ability for me to see my position. I can thaw or unfreeze my title within the collection. This is a nice way, especially if, let's say, you're going on vacation or you just have too many books to read, you can temporarily suspend those holds so they don't all come in at once within the system. If you are a multi-branch system and your library allows it, you can also change the pickup location. So this allows you to update that information. If it can't, you'll of course get a message within the system as well. At the bottom of the page, you do have options for multi-selects. So if I want to, check out everything and update those, I can do that as well. Now let's talk a little bit about fine and payment management. For those of you that may have recurring fines or fees, users will be able to see that information within the system. If you don't have accruing fines or fees, but maybe you just charge for lost items or damaged items, users will be able to see that information here. We do have connection with e-commerce sites, which allow you to connect your Aspen Discovery site. All that PCI information will take place outside of the library where the user can make their payments and have that sent back to Aspen. If you do turn on the ability to make material requests, again, Aspen has an internal material request that you can use, or if you have an ILS that allows that connection, you can connect to your ILS. This allows staff members to customize the form where it will prompt the user to enter in certain required fields for the material they are requesting, desired location if they want to be placed on hold, and update that information within the system. This is a great way for you to provide that ability to your patrons to make that purchase suggestion within the system. One feature I really like as a user is the ability to see your digital library card. This is huge for users because, sometimes people just forget. They forgot their card, they don't have their keychain, whatever it may be. This shows them their library card where they can come in and then, of course, scan that. And that will also be visible on the Aspen Lita app, as well as just the mobile version if they're pulling it up on, let's say, Google or Safari within the system.
So Jesse, we have a question
Oh,
on the
sure.
reading history. I know we may be short on time, so I want to go ahead and ask
Oh,
this
yeah,
one. So
sure.
if you're comfortable with it,
Uh-huh.
with reading history, I know we can export the reading history out.
Yes.
Um, what format, do you know the format that's in and if that is customizable?
Yeah, great question. So I'll jump into reading history and we'll talk a little bit more details about this. So with reading history, this allows users to come in. They do have to opt in. So this gives them the opportunity to opt in and say they want it saved. And you can see I have over 700 items that I've checked out in my lifetime at the library system, and all of those are showing here. I can come over here to the search bar and search for something specific. Right now, I have mine sorted by last used. You can also sort by title, author, or format. If you do want to export, you can come right up to the top and export to CSV. When you export it, it will sort for how you have it selected. But remember, when you have a CSV file, you can open that CSV file in your preferred platform. So if you're a Microsoft person, you can open it in, Microsoft Excel, or if you're a Google Sheets person, you can open it in Sheets. And then, of course, do your own sorting there as well. So multiple ways to do it. You can turn off your reading history at any time. You can delete it. You can also delete individual ones. You'll also notice right underneath you get that you might also again, hits the user in various places. One quick thing I would like to talk about, those stars. I saw questions come up about that. If you do the 5-star or 1-star rating, depending on what you select, Aspen will start keeping track of that. So users can go in and view titles they've rated, as well as titles they have said they are not interested in. So that is a pretty big key component, because if you didn't like something and you say, please do not recommend, you can select that. That way, Aspen will start to learn, what you like and what you don't like. Now, once I've set that, Aspen will give me those browse categories. So I'll be able to see that information as a browse category within the system and be able to view those right within those lists. So if we come over here back to our featured lists and I jump right over, you'll notice I have my saved searches, recommendations, and my lists, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But there are those recommendations. Now, some more customizations when the user is logged in. They can also hide categories. So if there's something that's not relevant for them, they can come in and hide those as well. Now, to finish up the basics of their account information, lists are a great way for users to be able to come in and track maybe things that they want to read, or something particular that they're looking for. And this is a great way for them to add information to a list. They can perform it through a search. They can add multiple titles in the list itself. They can email it, print it, export it, or even generate citations. And that's not it. You can also sort it however you want. User defined allows you to move things up and down. So if you want to, change what you're reading in the order that you want, you can just move those items around and have a customized list for yourself.
Another thing I like here
Oh,
is,
yeah.
even though I have this list of what I want to read, sometimes I have already read it and didn't realize it. It will have a last read month and year on there.
Love it. So again, this happens all the time. I feel like Goodreads is always oh, I wish I put it in there too, but now Aspen does it all for you, so you can keep track of all that information. If you like particular authors or subjects or series, you can save your searches. And what's cool about this feature is if the search has been updated since you last viewed it, you'll have a little button here that says updated. And if there's any new titles, you'll get a little banner that tells you that it's new. And it will also show up in those browse categories. So if we come over to our saved searches, I'll be able to see all of those titles in there that pertain to that particular author or series or subject. So again, just a nice way for our users to be able to keep that information in there. And the last thing, if your library has events, they'll be able to add those events to your account so you can see any upcoming events at your library or past events that you've attended. Now, before we finalize things up, I do want to mention the preferences under account settings that your users can customize. Dependent on what you turn on, this allows your users to set their preferred language, pickup locations. If you allow them, you can allow them to set up contact information. You can also control what information they can actually update. In most cases, libraries will say, yes, you can update your cell phone number or maybe your email address, but you do have to come into the physical library itself to update your mailing address, let's say. You can do things like reset your PIN or password within the system, and perhaps eContent providers where we tie in either Libby or Hoopla within the system. So I am going to pause for a second and just ask if we have any questions that we can answer. We gave a pretty good 45-minute overview of Aspen and all of those great features. Are there questions, Bill, that
So there's one we haven't answered yet. Is
okay.
will there be future webinars to teach us how to use all the customization in Aspen? Um, that's a yes, and we'll make sure we send those out. And then Victor has one more about reading history and what fields are being exported in the reading history. And Victor, that is going to be title, author, format, and last used. And I'll double check to see if that's customizable and send you a note. And then there's a question about learning more about side loading records.
Sure. I'd be happy to talk about that. So before Bill and I sign off, we actually have a list of all the upcoming webinars, and one of the webinars that we're doing during our 6-month Back to Basics series is all about patron customizations in Aspen Discovery. So you'll definitely have to join for that one. And for the side loading question, if I logged into just our sandbox here so we can show you in Aspen administration, there is a side loads module, which allows you to actually come in and bring MARC records in from any vendor that you're getting MARC records from for eContent. So again, think about things like, Comics Plus, LinkedIn Learning, Learning Express. There's so many out there, Gale, whatever it may be. This allows you to actually bring those into Aspen rather than the ILS, so you can have those discoverable within the system. In this case, we're using Canopy. So this allows me to set up a Canopy profile for my side-loaded collection, where I can enter in my credentials, set the encoding, the type of information that I'm bringing in, and then, of course, the ability to bring those records into the system. And Bill's already shared our wonderful help center, which talks a little bit more about the titles and how that side loading process works. I will also show you what it looks like when those titles are side loaded. So I'll just do a quick search within our system and show you exactly how the Canopy records display. And this can be done again for any e-content provider in your system that allows you to side load or bring in those MARC records. So here I'm just going to select Canopy, and you'll see here it brings in that image. I can see the title. I have it set to show as e-video. Some people set it to streaming, however you want to refer to it. And then you'll notice here I have an access online, which will take me directly out to my Canopy platform. All right, beautiful. So what we'll do here is just to wrap things up, we wanted to share some of our upcoming webinars within our Back to Basics series. So we'll be doing these throughout the next few months. This will take you out to a list, and we can share that link too for those of you in chat. And these will have a list of all of our upcoming webinars, and we have a lot of stuff that we'll be covering, everything from customizations, implementing Aspen Discovery. So we'd love to see you in those next upcoming webinars. And to finish things off, if you are not an Aspen Discovery user and you have questions about Aspen and would like to schedule a customized demo, you can reach right out to Bill, and we'd love to talk to you and do an in-depth demo where we can show you all things Aspen.
And there were a few questions we couldn't answer. I'll email y'all directly. We'll also send a recording of this to everybody with the links that we've shared.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.